Does it sometimes seem like creators or companies they put somebody on a title and then the writer proceeds to change every core thing about the title, not just like adding new elements to a character's personality, but just like, okay, first we'll kill off the supporting cast, put a new supporting cast in. Then we're going to kill off the main character, and we're going to put somebody else in there, and then we're going to kind of change all. And you start to wonder to yourself, like, why did you join this comic? Why did they put you on this comic in the first place? You basically changed everything about it. Why are you here? Why is that? Hey everybody, this is Perch. I so I'm this series has some fans, some very vocal fans. It's not quite at the Poison Ivy fan kind of level where if you say something, it's like saying Beetlejuice in the mirror three times and suddenly all these people descend on you. But Legion of Superheroes over in DC. So this is a Legion of Superheroes, of course, is a long running series. I'm pretty sure 70s, maybe earlier. This is where my memory is. I'm just trying to think. Legion actually did the original reboot more times than other comics. I mean, they're the OG reboot because they did. Remember that Keith Giffen reboot where it was like super dark and different and what's interesting though is that was in my mind at least kind of a reboot done right in that they changed the title dramatically, but they didn't blow it up. They made sure you connected the old costumes to updated costumes. They didn't just like show up one day and everything has changed. And they like did their homework. They made changes, but they connected the changes. And I think that's a good contrast to what we see now, where changes are made for no apparent reason, and we're just not sure why. Characters are just randomly different. A lot has been said about Garth and Lightning Lad and Lass and the race swap, going from very pale, kind of almost pasty. The thing about Garth, he's like pasty white, ginger, and then suddenly he's a black character. Somebody was saying this once that hey, you can't call him black. He's African American. Like he's definitely not African American because he's. I mean, this is New Earth in the future. I don't think there is an America anymore. I don't know if there's an Africa either. I mean, there's none of these things. That doesn't make any sense. He's black. And maybe that even doesn't make too much sense either because he's from another planet. But well. Anyway, they did for lack of a better word, the race swap with Garth, and and so number one, why, and then number two, what did we accomplish anything by doing this? So I think that it leads me back to the question I asked at the beginning of this of if you're going to get put on a title and then you're going to say, hey, I'm just going to change a bunch of stuff in the title. I'm going to change the RJ Brand character who's like a shape shifting, and now granted shape shifting, kind of old grandfather type with a brush mustache. We're going to change it to like a weird purple pink alien lady who's now the president of the planets. There's just a bunch of things in there where it's like, I mean, I get that you want to update the Legion of Superheroes to instead of having kind of a old white guy as the benefactor, you want to modernize it to have a woman president and all the rest, and there's nothing inherently wrong with that. I do think you should be modernizing and making things seem a little bit better. I mean, the comics back in the 70s, it's like, hey, all the white people are old rich white dudes. All the white. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. Just there was yes, all the the powerful people would show up and they're all old and white and they've got white hair. And not all of them. Somebody's going to point out like, hey, what about this one guy over here? I'm just saying generally, yes, there was an abundance. So being able to shake that up, there's nothing wrong with that. But why wouldn't you preserve the original characters as they are, and then say, oh, and then RJ Brand die? I mean, back in the in the old days, like 20 years ago, if they wanted to modernize a character, they would kill that character and just insert a new one. I mean, Bendis himself kind of did this with Miles Morales and Spider-Man, and Miles Morales was generally accepted. I mean, there were definitely some people who were upset about it, but the way they did it, of Peter Parker heroically dies, and Morales comes in, and it's a new character, and they're doing new things with it. You didn't see people say, "Hey, why did you race swap Peter Parker?" Because Miles Morales was new. It gave the opportunity to tell a new story, do some new things. That's that's generally it's a solid idea. That's a good thing. But instead, lately, and in the last, I would say this has really been picking up steam in the last 10 years or so. It's been more just hey, let's just pretend the readers will forget that this character used to be a pasty redheaded ginger, and it's like now he's got a completely different look. And then you can kind of hand wave it aside by going, oh, there's a space cosmic wave bubble that went on, and time was altered and messed with by Dr. Manhattan, and Dr. Manhattan was like, let's make Lightning Lad black. I, that does this. What are you doing? That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. When alternatively, you could have Lightning Lad go, you know what? I've have him die heroically. Throw in a new lightning based character who's black. That's fine. Just there's lots. Have that new character say, "I'm going to take on the name Lightning Lad because of of my respect for the brave sacrifice that went on. That's what I'm going to do." I mean, there's a million easy comic ways that you can pull this off without treating the readers like they're dumb, and that's how it comes across. It comes across like you're treating the readers like they're too stupid to notice that you just, completely altered the characters in the book. And then on top of that, again, it goes back to my original question. Why are you writing this book? Like, you don't seem to like this comic at all. You, you came on to Legion. You wanted to play with the Legion, but then you wanted to completely change what the Legion was. I mean, the Legion as a group right now, and it's 4 issues in, and like I said, there's a bunch of kind of Legion stands who are going to come in here and say, no, I love everything you're doing. I like the Legion of Superheroes. The new book is kind of leaning into what feels like a reality TV take on the Legion. They're all super chatty, and like the whole world is revolving around John Kent. And somebody I was talking with pointed out that, like, well, the original Legion of Superheroes went back in time and recruited Superboy too, and so this is very much in that flavor. Not really though. I mean, yes, those were stories, and yes, those things happened, but it was not this like fanboy thing we have now. It is very different. The whole kind of mix of what we're doing. And granted, the title, it may take it may take a few issues, and it's all going to snap and work out. But with every progressive issue, it feels like we're just modifying and modifying and modifying. And for what purpose? I mean, what new storytelling abilities have we picked up by making Garth black? What has helped there? Does it make the team more diverse? It does, and that again, there's nothing. I'm going to say something. I mean, a lot of people would argue with this. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't think there's anything wrong with saying, hey, you know what, this team is pretty much all white, and there's an orange guy in there, and we need to diversify this team. Cool. I perfectly acceptable, good plan. You've got a more diverse reading audience right now. You've got a team with 5,000 members on it. Yeah, add some diversity to it. Cool. But again, why would you just wake up one morning and the characters are different now? Because when this first came out, I don't know if you remember when they first had the promo art for the Legion of Superheroes. They had Garth Lightning Lad drawn white. He was drawn white with red hair. And then one day a promo art piece came out, and suddenly he's same long hair, same image but black, and then he had a flat top, and it's like, And people are asking, was there a coloring problem here? Did the colorist? And that was actually my initial reaction when people are coming to me and go, they just race swapped Garth. And I'm like, no, they didn't. Look, here's last month he's a ginger here a month ago, and now he's black. It's like that. This is a coloring error. Somebody did something stupid, and it wasn't even. It was like it maybe even just tan, in this issue. And then like with every piece of promo art, it just he got black, and it's like your reader should be wondering if you just changed a character or if your colorist was asleep at the wheel and did something incorrect. That shouldn't be how you roll out a new character. I think you should, yeah, you'd probably, I mean, imagine the more excitement you would have had if you had this promo art of the Legion of Superheroes, and then you have like a new character nobody's seen before sandwiched in between the classics, and it's like, well, who's this character? That's the Miles Morales syndrome. You could have gone that direction, and people would be excited about it. Please, nobody mishear what I'm saying. I have no issue with introducing Black, Latin, uh, Asian, all different races. I mean, make the Legion of Superheroes, I will say, are supposed to be representatives of all the different planets, all these different cultures. And one thing I do remember thinking was weird back in the 80s was that it's like there's like all these representatives are pretty much all white. Like that seems strange. Like even the one that kind of feels like she's Native American is often drawn white. I mean, it's like that does seem kind of weird to have like a United Nations superhero team, which is how it was billed a lot in the 80s and even the 90s, is like the UN superhero team. And if you look at the UN, what do you notice? You notice a ton of different races. So when you look at the Legion of Superheroes, like it's all the same. So the idea that we want to kind of address that, yeah, good idea. The idea that we want to address it by just saying, well, he's black now, that's weird. I just think that's weird. And it goes to why do you come on a title with such an established history and then suddenly decide, well, we're going to change this, we're going to change this, we're going to change that, and we're going to change the tone of the book, and we're going to change the storytelling, and we're not going to explain anything, and we're just going to. Why are you on the book in the first place? Why did you? Why? It doesn't make. I don't understand. I mean, other than, hey, somebody came to my house with a bag of money, and they said, "Would you like this money?" And I said, "I would like that money," and then you took the money. That makes sense. I'll go for that one. But otherwise, it feels like if you're hired on to do a job and you're writing a comic book that has a long and established history, you probably should stick with that history and you know build on it. Or if you truly hate the characters, like ask for a different comic. Or if you just sort of hate the characters, introduce some new characters into that mix. But just saying, you know what, they're going to be different now. I don't know. You see, what's also interesting about this whole mix, and I'll wrap this up, is that when new characters are introduced, I often notice that the fans backlash. They're like, what? Not hashtag not my legion. And then the writers are like, oh, here are the racists again. It's like, but was this really a surprise? I mean, you took a comic with decades of history. The same thing with Iceman. Okay, you took X Men, been around since the '60s. Iceman as a character been around since the '60s. You decided to reveal that Iceman's gay. Fans are upset. You act surprised that the fans are upset. I, I, I mean, you could say, "Hey, this is my decision. Screw you. I decided to do it." You can be defiant about it, but don't be surprised. Like, what the surprise is always what kills me because it's like I had no idea that changing this character who's been around for 50 years and has a long and established fan base would lead to some of those fans being angry. Those must be toxic, racist, white nationalist fans. Ah, not really. I mean, no. you, if it's I just find that I find that I always the surprise always I find so disingenuous. It always is like, I mean, I never expected that people would be upset by this. Like, yeah, sure you did. I mean, come on. Same thing happened with Garth and Legion. They're like, look at all these racists complaining about that he's black now. It's like, does that make him racist to say, hey, there was a character here for 40 years, and then you one day decided to just say, surprise, he's black, and and then you were surprised that the fans were like, wait, what happened here? That was surprising to you. It shouldn't be surprising to you. I don't know. I'd love to. With this topic in general, I would like to sit down with a Bendis or somebody and just like have a real debate, because it always feels so absurd that in the back of my head I always think I'm missing something. I think, there's some, like, I'm being an idiot because it seems so obvious, so apparent that it must be me. I must be the one who's missing something. And so I'd love to have just somebody logical sit down in front of me and just debate, just say, hey, here's no, you're not looking at it right way. Here's a way to look at it. But nobody ever does that. Ever. If they disagree, they always come by and they always go to the same, well, you must be racist. It's like, this actually has nothing to do with race. It has to do with you had thing A. Thing A existed for a very long time. Then one day you decided it's not thing A, it's thing B. And then you were surprised that fans were like, well, wait a minute, what happened to A over here? I don't buy the surprise. What do you think? I've rambled a long time on this topic. What do you think? I actually went and did maybe too many things in this video. This is a lousy video. Speaking of which, like and subscribe so you can hear more of these lousy videos. Follow me on Twitter at Comic Perch. Let me know your comic comments below. Yes, thanks for listening.